Okay, so welcome everyone to this tech talk today, which is on Beyond Compliance, Strategic Tracing Implementation in Global Pharma Markets. So we have Ganendra from Trace today presenting. So I am going to hand over to Ganendra shortly. But in the meantime, I'm just going to go through our class guidelines and our antitrust guidelines. So for our well, actually, I'll introduce Ganendra first. So he brings nearly a decade of hands-on experience designing and implementing solutions for pharmaceutical traceability and serialization. So, as mentioned, Ganendra is at Trace and is a certified tracing implementer and solution partner. So, which means he partners with customers, solution providers, and product teams to drive compliant, scalable digital supply chain transformations. Now I will go on to the antitrust guidelines and the class guidelines. So our antitrust guidelines, as always, our classes are public. So we just ask you not to engage in any discussions around pricing, deal making, selling, promoting, or any other activities which could be seen as anti-competitive. And on as for our class guidelines, because our classes are public, we just ask you to refrain from initiating any company-specific examples. Having said that, if you do have any use cases you wish to share, we can take them offline and look into them. There will also be an opportunity to ask questions at the end of the session. So I will just make sure that you've got time to ask any questions. I have a couple of questions myself. And as always, you can email tracinguniversity@tracelink.com with any follow-up questions. So on that note, I am going to hand over to Ganendra now. Thank you, Ganendra, for presenting today.
Thanks, Laura, and welcome everyone. Thanks for joining, and thanks for the introduction again, Laura. So yeah, so this is the agenda for our session today. So again, just reiterating, our topic for today is what is beyond compliance. So how you should be getting yourselves prepared and what should be your next steps, because we all have passed the compliance-based or mandatory-based preparedness or getting your systems, your teams, or your partner connections up to the mark for the compliance. So we are pretty much in terms of the stabilization period, especially for the markets which have been live for the past few years. And for the emerging markets, of course, we have to just go through the same process of being there and getting ready. So here, the topics again will give a quick introduction again about myself and Trace and how Trace have been working with Tracelink in these implementations. Then we'll jump on to the topic itself to see what are the challenges that we currently have, and from our experiences, from customers' feedback, we'll look into that in detail, and then the gaps that we have identified, and we have put some metrics there on the gaps and how we see gaps, because we do a lot of gap analysis workshops with clients, and even Tracelink does that. So we'll look into that in detail. And again, on beyond compliance, so what should be your focus or vision beyond compliance? Then comes your the best practices in the industry and the pitfalls to avoid. Then we have put together an executive framework, which has worked in the past for us, working with a lot of Tracelink clients, and we'll share that with you here. And lastly, the next steps. And once you have, all these in place, so how you should be thinking, or not even once it has been in place, but even starting today, how you should be thinking about the next steps in terms of the technologies that are out there, call it your AI agentic model, data orchestration, digitalization of your current data flows. Okay, so let's get into it without wasting any time here. So a few words and a quick introduction about Trace. So it was established back in 2018 by Zishan Ahmed, who is our CEO and founder. So he established Trace as a initially the consulting company where we enable or we help the customers to meet their end-to-end serialization requirements and support. We do, gap analysis, gap assessments, onboardings, and we also have options for the managed services and the computer system validation, the partner validation, partner connection validation as well, and exception handling, be it for US, other markets as well, EU alert management, and also we assist the clients with new market registrations as well. And we are headquartered in London, UK, but we also have presence in the US, UAE, and in India as well. And our main focus is to empower, customers, businesses with a strong and a comprehensive serialization solution with scalability in mind. So that's our, if you like it, our mission. Like Laura already mentioned, Cosmotrace is a certified implementer. What it means is we are a service and a solution partner of Tracelink. So any client who uses Tracelink solutions can definitely seek our help in terms of all the services that is put out here. All right. So let's get into the topic, which is the challenges, right? So what are the challenges and what is your starting point? So compliance is not just your starting point, right? So it has a few different things beyond the compliance. So what is it? So firstly, we have put this as complexity. So I've divided it into complexity and pain points. So the more complex your existing model of serialization operations is, the more pain points you'll have, right? So first one is your diverse regulation. So you have a very big portfolio with multi-market. So you are required to understand each regulations and have have your monitoring, have your registrations, have your reporting based out of each country based requirements. So you have US, Europe, EUFMD, Russia, crypto, UAE, that mean, and this all adds to the complexity. And then it's not only this country's diverse regulations, but you receive frequent regulatory updates. So the regulations, the updates, and the requirements are frequently updated. There are changes to it because, again, these country regulatory bodies learn from the industry, right? So they implement, they bring out some, they roll out some mandatory requirements, and then they test the waters, they see how the industry is behaving, and if there are any issues, feedbacks from the big players or the big stakeholders in the supply chain, they take that back and they roll out the updates, right? So you have to be adapting to those updates as well, which makes it more complex. And then comes your multi-market G10s, aggregation or crypto-based complexities, right? So there are G10s which are, which are the same G10s which must comply with different country regulations, and then there are aggregation requirements, and to add on to that, there are crypto-based serial numbers in some country regulations, which makes it more complex. Then comes your integration challenges across ERP and L4, L5 systems. So this is a very common challenge, and it has been an old challenge, or in the industry, right? So the reason is, it like the ERP integration is not just restricted to data mapping or having scalable APIs and flexible APIs, but the biggest challenge is the migration, or the change from your legacy data repositories or processes, and bringing in new processes and new connections. So the change is where we find as a humongous task, and to have the initial, when we are having discussions with the client. So this seems like a very complex space, but definitely this is something which will hugely help the clients if they think and focus more on having these integrations in place and automation in place to reduce risks in the future, and to probably comply with other technologies or the upcoming technologies on the AI side. Then moving on to the pain points. So misaligned business and technical teams. So this is a very common one. So there are multiple teams within a organization, right? So in a stakeholder, say for example, in a manufacturers, so you have teams working on the IT serialization data side, and you have teams on the on the ground level working on the production side working with the actual line systems, and then you have teams on the warehouse side, and on there are other teams on the QA, on the validation side. So there is a huge misalignment between these teams and the technical team, which is, we call it the serialization team, working on the data. So there is no alignment, and they are not working together as a team, and there is less visibility, which is causing a lot of delayed decisions. They all work in silos. So this is one of the big pain point that we have observed in common when we have had discussion with the clients. Then comes the gap between Tracelink's capabilities and real-world processes. So real-world processes are nothing but your daily operations, your supply chain operations, if you like it, and also there is an additional layer with the serialization data exchange, right? So Tracelink capabilities are sometimes misunderstood, I would say, and there is a misalignment. But then that is where exactly solution service partners like us come into picture in bridging the gap and educating the customers, and also definitely doing the assessment and to identify the gaps, and which is a right fit solution for their model will be explained to them by us. Then comes the delays in onboarding CMOs and 3PLs, which is a very common one. So everyone needs rapid onboarding. Everyone wants to complete onboardings because they don't want to allocate their resources who are on daily operations monitoring to to a set project or a set task for a few months or a few weeks based on how many CMOs and 3PLs they'll be onboarding. So yeah, I mean, they would definitely need to have the best practices by having the standard onboarding templates, and by leveraging their existing connection patterns from the past and the knowledge base. So yeah, I mean, so you need SMEs, or experts who have done things in the past, help to get across this pain point of avoiding the delays in onboarding the partners. Then you have the reactive compliance versus the proactive strategy, right? So it's not just compliance, just reiterating again that we have to meet and have to, be compliant and have the data to be sent out to the, next change of ownership party that you have to send data to, or maybe to the government or regulatory bodies. It's not just that. So you have to have a proactive mindset or a proactive strategy to be scalable and to ensure long-term compliance, efficiency, and also supply chain visibility, right? Otherwise you will definitely end up if you start doing rushed implementations, so it will definitely increase the operational risks. So yeah, with that, I would like to conclude this slide stating that Tracelink is definitely well equipped. It's more powerful, but the value is only unlocked if you have a structured implementation strategy. So definitely you need to know how you would like to use Tracelink solution and its capabilities. And definitely we can help you out there because we have been implementing Tracelink for over a decade now. And even you working on the existing Tracelink system, you might not be really utilizing Tracelink at its fullest. So you would also probably need someone who is working more closely with Tracelink's evolution and Tracelink's new capabilities and new solutions out there, and see how much of value that Tracelink's new solutions can bring into your ecosystem. Okay, so moving on to the next slide, which is the gap. So yeah, this is how we have probably gauged and saw like where the projects typically struggle. And this is how we have put it up into three, verticals, if you like it. So firstly, we have the client business needs on one side, and then what are the Tracelinks, platform's capabilities, and what is the gap that is experienced at the client end, right? So the first one being the market specific compliance, right? So there are multi markets. Like I said, a client can have multi market portfolios. They can have SKUs for different target markets, and then they need to be compliant for all target markets. And Tracelink, with its standardized configurations, puts a question in the client's mind, where, what is the localization complexity? So when I mean by localization complexity, so for example, for when each market enforces any unique serialization reporting or any crypto requirements, regulations again differ in data formats and verification flows or reporting timelines, right? So like every organization must configure market specific workflows in their systems. So like in Tracelink, while maintaining any global data consistency, like you have your centralized master data, you don't have to configure or reinvent the wheel from scratch. So you build your core functionality, your core metadata, master data setups, and there's only a additional layer of compliance modules that has to be enabled at Tracelink, which makes it definitely easy in reporting. But this is definitely a gap that we have felt. Okay, do we have to restart everything? Do we have to look at this like a whole new project, with having a new market compliance in place? So yeah, so this is one of the gap that we have seen commonly experienced by the client. And then comes your operational workflows on the client business needs. Then we have event-driven architecture. So this is basically nothing but your workflows in Tracelink, right? So every workflow is based out of a trigger in Tracelink, or trigger event in Tracelink, if you like it. So, it's more important. So the gap is again process mapping mismatch. So why process mapping mismatch is because the client understands the real world operations or real world, steps, or the SOPs that they follow out there in their facilities or in their warehouses, in their production sites. And they want to match this. They want to understand how this workflow is mapped to their real world processes. So definitely, again, this gaps can be bridged by really educating, by really having workshops, really doing the gap assessments at the ground level, at the customer sites, by aligning with the real world processes, with the system configurations and platforms like Tracelink, through, detailed mapping and validation, and to meet the compliance. Then comes the needs on the legacy ERP landscape. So, like as I have been saying, so people have been used to systems, primitive systems, legacy systems, and its own landscape or its own architecture. But Tracelink does have API-driven integrations, and Tracelink's platform has done a great job in mapping all the legacy to all the newest ERP and other external system landscapes, and I have built the network. So you can leverage that API-driven integrations in the Tracelink side. But the gap is the technical alignment issues. So this is a three-party, discussion: Tracelink, client, and also the ERP, technical team side. So we bridge the gap again from Cosmotrace side. We have done multiple ERP integrations, with a list of external systems out there for Tracelink, and helping them understand Tracelink's API guidelines and then the Tracelink's capabilities. And also we have resources on our end where they come from external systems background as well, from other L4 solution providers or other ERP, other external system side as well. So we leverage that team knowledge base, and we we have the right questions and the right discussions and design sessions with this three-party calls with the client, Tracelink, and also the external ERP technical team, and bridge this gap. Lastly, rapid onboarding, it keeps coming back again on every slide, right? So here, like you cannot have capabilities of Tracelink. Definitely, the strength is the network, because you don't have to spend and like I've been saying, reinvent or reintegrate or create the connection from scratch, because Tracelink has built the connection already, and it's a matter of following the Tracelinks standard process of service linking, exchanging invites, configuring, and building the connection, B2B connection, and testing. But the gap here is the change management, right? So, what is it the impact of having this new onboardings done? Are we touching anything in the already validated system of the clients? So all this is questions that we usually get. Again, so we need to have a very effective change management, which enables, again, rapid onboarding by aligning with your stakeholders, your processes, and systems at a very early stage. So that's the key. So at a very early stage, you need to have the discussions open and clear communication and standardized onboarding playbooks, again, training sessions, and also defining the ownerships on what is the deliverables on whose side just makes it more easy to bridge this gap again. Okay, in terms of why these gaps exist, or why are these questions being raised by the clients, is because of the regulatory interpretation differences. So they do not directly, resonate what the regulatory bodies or the notices or the mandates that has been released by the L5 systems. So we need to have a very clear or a simplified version of the updates or the requirements. Again, Tracelink does a great job with their, community discussions, with their compliance based updates to the clients, and the communications through their support. And also the team who is already currently working with the clients also make sure they are apprised, and have been notified about all the new updates that is going out there, or even if there is any notifications, any heads up, and to be prepared for anything that is coming, because Tracelink works very closely with all the global market, L5 solution providers, and the bodies who roll out these updates. Then you have the lack of serialization domain expertise. So yes, no, even if the serialization has been in place for over a decade now, there is still a lot of missing expertise in the team, or missing knowledge about the multi-market, the global serialization requirements, and everyone needs to be fully equipped with the resources. And it's very difficult, again, having the full all the resources within the team to be up to the mark and having the serialization domain experience, because when serialization came into existence, it was an additional set of responsibilities that was taken over by your current supply chain managers or IT resources, or maybe someone from finance is also what I've seen, taking over roles of serialization, teams, and serialization data exchange ownership is being provided to them. So it's just it just feels a lot of efforts and reorganization, decisions to be made to have the serialization domain in-house. So this is where probably you can leverage experts like from the service partner side, from Tracelink side, like from Cosmo Trace side. We have people working on so many projects with Tracelink and Tracelink clients, and have been in this industry for average about 10 years of experience, and can definitely help you out with minimal efforts and minimal and quick onboarding options. Again, if you have to onboard someone with their domain expertise, again, it takes time. And if you want to also optimize or offload anyone after the projects are over, then again, it's a decision to make, right? So that is when you can definitely try to think about the outsourcing model of your serialization office to Tracelink and to Cosmotrace, and think about probably as a project-based approach and as a short-term requirement-based approach as well. Then the gap is also regarding your incomplete master data governance, right? So master data has been the key. So the cleaner the source data, the lesser errors or issues that you will have at a later stage, right? So this has been the key from the beginning, and it's not just a one-time setup. It requires governance. It requires ownership. Again, it has to be from a clean source and some from with a two-factor verification or authentication, not only through a single entry point of data. And there has to be maintenance done on master data. So there could be some location, there could be some businesses which go out of business and has to be updated in terms of partner locations and product. There has been product ownership changes, the manufacturer's license changes from one owner, like one manufacturer to another. So there is continuous requirement of the master data governance. And this is where we have seen a huge gap. And then comes limited cross-functional alignment. Again, like we discussed earlier in one of the slides, that there are teams, different teams involved in this entire supply chain for pharma and traceability, right? And there isn't a cross-functional alignment. So these teams have zero visibility and they work in silos, and this is where the huge gap is. So they have to have visibility. They need to understand the impact of the task that is at their hand, which might really impact them at a later stage and can impact the business and revenue as well of the company. All right, so moving on to the slide where we discuss about what is beyond compliance, right? So how should we be thinking of creating a strategic value? So, like I said, we have been thinking only about the mandatory or the bare minimum requirement that we need to, do and be compliant and get over with. So that should not be our mindset. So we should think towards of creating a strategic advantage of, of doing things in a more proactive way rather than in a reactive way. So our focus should be mostly on, faster new market onboarding, right? Again, with Tracelinks network and Tracelinks, a trademark of integrate once and interoperate with the service linking model, you need not worry about, having onboardings with very huge timelines. You can have the onboardings done in a quicker fashion as well. Again, with Cosmotrace, and we have been doing onboardings day in day out, so we know the standard or the template, or or purposing the integration patterns and getting the onboarding done in a quicker way. Then the focus should be mostly on reducing the reporting rejections, right? When you qualify, when you test, you do not really test the negative, testing. You do not test all the possibilities, all the errors, right? Because you are in a rush and a rapid onboarding mode while you're onboarding or while you're trying to go live. You don't test for all the possibilities, don't validate all things. So this is also something which you need to understand is important, and be ready and have the kappa and have the procedures, SOPs in place for all the rejections that you might face at a later stage as well. So yeah, so this is also a key thing which you have to think about, of reducing the reporting rejections by doing negative testing of all the errors that you can have. Then is your improved recall readiness. So recall is something which not all the stakeholders like, but if that occurs. So you need to be ready for that as well. And better supply chain visibility has always been the key and will be the key in the future as well, when we move to the digitalization and moving towards the agentic AI data orchestration model as well. So this will be the key, and definitely everyone should be thinking of improving or increasing the supply chain visibility across your internal teams and also with your partners as well. Then is your cross-market harmonization, right? So, yeah. So when like cross-market is like, for example, if you have um, you know multiple products with like the same product with multiple markets and target markets, you have a bigger portfolio, then you would need to think about how we can probably reuse or leverage the same and use the same trends for any emerging markets or any new market that you're going live with. So your experiences that you have already faced should not be left unturned, and you should be re-leveraged for any new market that you're going live with. Reduced long-term operational costs. So definitely this is something which you have to think about by automations and minimizing the manual interventions. So basically the key is to have uh, your uh, your whole data orchestration more digitalized and more automated, and that's how you'll be able to reduce the long-term operational cost. Okay, so on the impact side, how it will be strategically impacting is compliance will become predictable for you because you will be putting your efforts in a proactive way. You'll be taking measures, you'll be prepared. So compliance, any new compliance will be predictable, so it won't be a humongous task. It won't be a new efforts or whole different uh, additional efforts or new changes or reorganization. So any impact is not really experienced if you are ticking all those boxes on top by putting a strategic approach to it at a very early stage. Then your IT and business alignment improves, right? So it's not just the data exchange that we have to be compliant with, right? So it's also the business, your business operations, your supply chain, your fulfillment, your warehouse, and all your other teams will be aligned and will be more in sync. So you will definitely feel the impact when these teams are in sync and there isn't a lot of miscommunication between those teams. Then serialization has always been uh, a resistant or something which has been seen as a burden in the past, but it will not be anymore. So it will be more more seen as a business enabler or something which will act as a catalyst to improve your business and provide value and do quicker operations or fulfillment to your customers, to your patients, hospitals as well. So you'll definitely see the impact there. The organizations will shift from, again, a reactive to proactive compliance. So this is the key, right? So you have to think more proactively and be ready is what the messaging will be from this, from the slide, if you like it, to think how you should be prepared beyond compliance. So with that being said, again, another quote here. I love quotes, so just trying to put out there, and it definitely helps in concluding and putting out the message to all of you guys. So compliance is definitely a requirement, but strategy of being more proactive is a differentiator, right? And so for that, you need to definitely get into execution, to start, creating the impact and which is where you can leverage, the solution partners, service partners like Cosmotrace to help you do that. All right, so moving on to the next slide. So this is the industry's imperatives and pitfalls to avoid, which is like the best practices and the lessons learned, if you like it, or the risks that you need to be aware of or be careful of. So the best practices again, cross-functional governance. So this is very much important. You need to have a cross-functional team in your organization and not let your team work in silos. So you need to identify the ownership. You need to identify key individuals from each department who work hand in hand, who are important for moving your physical goods or moving your data, getting things approved. So they need to have full visibility and understand the impact. So this is the key, to have a cross-functional governance, to have a cross-functional team with which will improve the visibility on what is going on the other side of the department or teams within an organization. Then a partner with certified experts such as Cosmotrace will definitely improve in creating more value for you and for your current organization, because like I have said, it will be very quicker and it will be cost effective, and also you can have the model wherein you might just need on need basis, you can have these experts at your fingertips and at your service for helping you with any of the current requirements. And with serialization and with compliance, we have seen the delays, the pushbacks, and the long term on putting things on hold by government officials or by partners, by due to many such reasons. And you don't want to have that as an additional burden by having your internal team built and putting them on bench, right? So yeah, definitely an option to go ahead with SMEs at Cosmotrace if you need any of your support on a short term or on need basis. Then building your internal capability. So via Tracelink University's executive program. So Tracelink University again has all level of courses and programs that you can have your existing employees, your old employees as a refresher programs if they like it, because Tracelink and all the industry is evolving. So you need to, be on track or up to the mark and just run along and get updated. So definitely something to look out for. And also for your new employees, your new team, or maybe anyone who has joined recently from a different team and wants to understand things around Tracelink. So this Tracelink University programs and courses are definitely a good starting point before they really get into their daily operations or their daily tasks of working with tracing solutions. Then comes your establishing continuous value tracking and optimization. So regular monitoring is a key by defining clear KPIs for compliance, and then improving this onboarding speed, and reducing the exception rates. And that all boils down to improve your operational efficiency, right? And you can definitely leverage Tracelink solutions like SPI, POET to have this continuous value tracking and optimization. Then comes your risks, right? So risks are treating it as just as an IT project versus a business transformation. So you have to look at a bigger picture and not treat this serialization as just an IT project. So IT project will come with a deadline, again with its own deliverables, scoped out work, but once it is delivered, it's all outcome or output based. But this is not just that, right? It's a business transformation. This goes beyond technology. So it has to be we have to think towards reshaping the processes, governance, and and think about the operating models which will drive the strategic value and improve the value for the company. So we have to think in that direction. Then underestimating the change management and partner onboarding. Yeah. So we cannot be overlooking at training and process alignment and partner readiness. So we have to be focused on that side. So we need to have effective governance and structured onboarding frameworks. That's the key. Again, you need to have some frameworks designed internally, and you can definitely collaborate through platforms on Tracelink as well, for which is one of the the good option is the Poet. So providing framework, setting up processes within your team internally or also with your partners by improving the visibility and communication. So yeah, so you can leverage Tracelink's Poet solution there as well. Next is the executive framework. So yeah, this is where we would like to, probably hand you how this, framework that we feel and which we have used with our implementations and have worked definitely very well for us in the past. So this is how it will be. So it's based off your Tracelink's solution, and it's based off our experience with working with Tracelink solutions. So firstly is your business value alignment, right? Defining very measurable KPIs such as on time in full, which is the key for any supply chain. Again, inventory turns, recall response times, and revenue protection. So this is all the key. So we have to definitely define the measurable KPIs, which will help us align to serialization and supply chain initiatives with this metrics, and it will ensure the Tracelink's platform also which we can leverage to deliver the operational efficiency. So yeah, I mean, the compliance readiness and to have tangible goals, to have business tangible outcomes and goals beyond regulatory requirement will be the key to have the business value alignment. Then to adapt automation, right? So definitely leveraging Tracelink's API integrations and automated workflows, which will enable seamless serialization data exchange, which will reduce the manual intervention and ensure consistent regulatory reporting, right? So that's where you can definitely leverage the Tracelink's API integrations. Because automating and digitalizing will definitely accelerate your partners' connectivity, and will strengthen your compliance and reduce the reporting errors in the supply chain and with the government bodies. Then having a network-centric design. So you can definitely leverage Tracelink's Mint solution, which will enable partner interoperability to a shared network model. So this approach that reduces complex point-to-point integration and will accelerate your partners like CMO and 3PL onboardings, and can also ensure scalable connectivity. So it's not just one connection that you're building. So it's you're trying to get into a network. You're building a network within Tracelink, right? So it will definitely be an efficient collaboration across the supply chain in your own ecosystem, having Mint as a part of your solution on top of your core serialization solution of Tracelink. Then to have the phase transformation. So this is the key, which I'm sure most of us are already doing, but the key is to have the high ROI markets or partners to be in the pilot phase of implementation, right? So we need to identify and start with the high ROI pilot markets to validate the processes, integrations, and compliance workflows on Tracelink. So you need to learn from the lessons from earlier deployments, and you'll have to refine your configurations, improve partner communications and onboardings, and optimize your current daily operations, manual operations as well. So this is how you can gradually scale to additional markets while continuously monitoring the KPIs and enhancing your efficiency across your current serialization ecosystem. Then is your ROI measurement. Tracking composite metrics such as operational cost savings, compliance risk mitigations, and productivity gains is the key. So you can combine the financial indicators with operational KPIs like onboarding speed, exception reduction, and automation impact. So after automating, you can probably do the measurement on how it is impacting, and you can demonstrate the measurable business value beyond just the regulatory or the compliance based requirements, right? So yeah, I mean the measurement, the monitoring is also a very important part in the framework. All right. Yeah, the next steps. So how is the next horizon look like for us all, right? Which is again not just going again with the buzzword of agentic supply chain orchestration, but it is true, it is for real, and that is how everyone should think and is thinking already. So if you're not, then you should probably look into it. Definitely in 26, 27, that's the trend to have an agentic AI which will evolve your supply chain from beyond just your data visibility or just autonomous decision making. It's beyond that. So you need to build a digital serialization network. Tracelink has done a great job with that. And so if you're already part of Tracelink network, if you already have a system or the serialization solutions with Tracelink, your half job is done. So you just need to leverage Tracelink's, agentic AI data orchestration solutions and just take it further from there and be prepared. Then Tracelink's vision. So, Tracelinks aims to, enable end-to-end supply chain orchestration across your manufacturing, logistics, and, commerce. So they do this by connecting with global partners on a shared digital network that which they have already built, and it provides real-time visibility. We all know about that, coordinated workflows, and it does the intelligent automation. You should definitely keep yourself signed up for the newsletters, for the updates that Tracelink has been doing enhancements and upgrades on their solution side on the AI part. So the executive opportunity, right? So you can leverage the Tracelink's, serialized supply chain data, which you already have as a customer of Tracelink, and then move that beyond just to compliance and just to serialization. And you can enable the predictive or automated intelligence and leverage the data analytics. But so these are the important part, right? So you have to think of utilizing your existing data and how do we put it up into an automated intelligence. So yeah, I mean, you have to think about transforming your serialization data basically and using it for strategic insights that will, probably drive faster, smarter, or to help you make, quicker decisions or right decisions for your supply chain. So yeah, executive opportunity is something definitely you should be thinking about by utilizing your current data in your system. Then the call to action. So what is it for you, right? So you have to think about positioning your organization, your company for Industry 4.0 ready, right? So Industry 4.0 is nothing but automating as much as you can and digitalizing all your manual processes, right? So, just optimizing your current processes, your manual work, reducing your number of steps, like improving your efficiency is the key. And again, Tracelink have been doing a great job. You can use their platform to enable the network connectivity for automation and data-driven orchestration, right? So which is what we are talking about. So you have the data in this ecosystem already, so you can use that for the orchestration. And again, if you need any experts' help in implementing and assessing your current status of your serialization operations, and if you're confused and if you have no clue on where to begin, and if you need any help, what should be your first step towards digitalization. So yeah, definitely you can feel free to reach out to Cosmotrace, and we'll be happy to help with any of the expertise that we have in the house. All right. So yeah, with that being said, so I would say let us all take our first steps, to step forward in building a resilient, intelligent supply chain, which will be ready for the next era of digital pharma operations, with AI and agentic data orchestration. So yeah. All right. So yeah, that was my last slide. And we'll be happy to, take any questions from the attendees, if there are any.
Thank you, Ganendra. That was really good. I guess it's interesting to see how you're working with tracing to do these implementations. I like your quote about compliance being a requirement, but I guess it's the strategy that's also important.
Right.
I just have a couple of questions.
Mhm.
I just wanted to know, what does the timeline typically look like, for a typical Cosmo Trace implementation? I know it would vary depending on the project, the solutions, but I guess in terms of resources, teams, consultants, and do you take customers up to go live, or and
Yes.
how do you support customers post go live?
Sure, sure. Like you rightly said, Laura, so the project timeline typically varies depending upon, the defined scope of work, the deliverables, and again, how big the portfolio is, number of markets, integration, and complexity. But so how Cosmotrace, efficiently does this implementation is by having a cross-functional project delivery model, if you like it, right? So you again have a shared client plus Cosmotrace's resources project team that is set up, which is similar to Tracelink, but here the differentiator is we try to assign one single project lead, who is probably a certified project manager and also a certified Tracelink consultant. So we try to assign a single resource, but at the
Hmm.
same time, we also assign or co-assign a backup technical resource or technical consultant to the primary lead resource who will act just on the backup basis, so that they have a backup blanket or a cover whenever the resource is out of office or not available during any of the capacity. So for that, you have a backup technical consultant. But the
Hmm.
support does not just stop there, but the resource, the lead, and the backup is also having access to Cosmotrace's Center of Excellence team, which is again the team of experts who have worked on these projects in the past and have been working on other projects, other technologies, other solution providers, other ERPs. So we have an SME, Center of Excellence team, which these resources have direct access to. So with that being said, it just enables the, the resources working on the client and the implementation to have the best processes and the templates, and and have the implementation patterns, and with prior experience knowledge base readily at their fingertips. And this is how it helps us to probably onboard or complete the implementation in weeks and not months.
Hmm.
So
And your
yeah,
base, just remind me the locations.
sure.
Is there, I mean, you're
Absolutely.
global.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we are based globally. Again, headquarters is in London, and we
Hmm.
have offices in US, UAE, Canada, and also in India. So our
Mhm.
delivery center, most of our resources are in India, but they work around the clock. So we have clients with 24 by 7 model as well, where we have, probably about 6 to 7 resources working for a client, and they have entirely outsourced their support for serialization offers to us. So the time and the region and the support should not be an issue because we have resources all across the globe.
Great. Thank you. And I guess just a quick question. I know we're nearly at time, but how's
Sure.
Cosmo Trace preparing for the evolution of agentic orchestration, and how are you helping customers prepare too?
Sure. So again, the next steps, it was very evident and clear that we have to think towards the agentic supply chain orchestration, right? And
Mhm.
so we have been trying to educate our customers about the value of, Tracelink's model itself, the Tracelink's network-based and API first or event-driven architecture. So that's something which we have been constantly doing, and we do the gap assessment, gap analysis, and we give them the scorecard or report card of where do they stand and what are they lacking in and how can they begin with their first steps towards the digitalization. So basically, we focus on building strong serialization and data foundations first, again through our like COE and with our experience SMEs who have been certified with Tracelink and also with other technologies. We 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 help the clients to to have an updated architecture or an architecture that they should be thinking about in comparison to their current data architecture that they have. And so, yeah, I mean, so basically, we just try to do the assessment, try to show them where they stand, and help them with the first steps, and also educate with the latest technologies, which like Tracelink has its own, network-based and like API first and AI event-driven architecture that they're working towards. So, yeah, that's how we probably help our customers do that and get prepared.
Great, thank you. Thanks, Gunendra. That was really interesting, and hopefully you'll be able to present again some point in the future as well. But thank you once again, and if anyone does have any follow-up questions, just feel free to email, like I said at the start, tracinguniversity@tracing.com. And if there are questions for, in particular for Ganendra, I will be passing them on as well, if that's okay, Ganendra.
Of course, yeah, we'll be happy to answer any questions. So no worries at all.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, thank you, everyone.
Bye.